Your knowledge of contract language is imperative.
You must know what a violation looks like if you wish to be active in its cessation.
It is important to understand that being active and knowledgeable affects your overall bargaining strength.
Together, we can forge a more militant NALC.
Good morning and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, the podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier, with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. On grievance 478 for the year, recording from the beautiful city of Roseville, Michigan. Today, it will be a short episode. I've got some important complex cases that I have been consuming my time lately. Removals and things of that nature. One thing I'd like to note before we get into the education, or as I should say discussion, because it's not that much of an education rather than we're just going to talk about some things. But if you listen to JH on YouTube, he's not a letter carrier. He is in the postal network, but I should have an appearance there tonight. They've got like 50,000 YouTube subscribers, so it seems like they're pretty popular. If you listen to them, I'll see you there tonight. Today, I want to discuss something that's been going on in my decisions from Step B that is frankly very frustrating and very disheartening. As you guys already know, if you listen to this show, a 271G is a request for special route count and inspection that a carrier can request if their route is above 8.5 hours on at least 3 days per week for 6 consecutive weeks. If you can prove that it was in fact over, it is basically guaranteed that they have to do an evaluation of your route and adjust it accordingly, since most of our routes have to be adjusted to 8 hours or as close to 8 hours as possible. I have sent 5 denials of these 271Gs out of the office to Step B this year, and Step B has denied 4 of them and impassed 1. There are 2 main reasons why they have been denying them, but they both equate to not substantiating the facts of the case file. The first and most frustrating thing that I'm having to overcome is that carriers are not switching to the proper functions when carrying off their assignment. This is a hard one, because if carriers are to be held to the standard that they are to switch properly, this could impose discipline to those who do not follow instructions. I've got one idiot who always at the informal aid tries to use it against me. Every time I file a grievance, they're right there with a pen and paper showing, look, all these people don't switch and we could be writing all these people up. Essentially, they're trying to threaten me that, yeah, well, I'll write these people up if you're going to continue to file grievances. That's an empty threat. It's not on me to decide who you do or don't decide to discipline. But it is on me to protect them, and your stupid threats are not going to help you. Now, as a steward, I cannot make my carriers switch, but I am doing all that I can to let those carriers know the importance of doing so when it comes to the value of your route. Please, if you're one of those carriers who are not switching, I implore you to start doing it. Not only should you switch for delivery, but you should also switch to the other route when loading the truck with a split or when casing their mail. A lot of people might think to switch on the street, but a lot of times they don't switch in the office. I have tried to overcome this obstacle by providing Step B with all alternative available information. This includes GPS data, management schedule, and a daily performance report to show that management slotted that individual into the alleged route for extra to no avail. It seems like Step B is coming to the conclusion that if the numbers aren't in the system, then they won't accept any alternative data that places the carrier on that route. I can understand if it were GPS data alone, since we shouldn't have a double standard. Many times we claim that GPS alone is not enough to substantiate a fact. But it is common knowledge that not only GPS data, but other data together is good enough to prove a preponderance of evidence. And management isn't disputing the fact that it happened in these case files either. They're just saying that the routes are not over. The second thing that's holding me back on these 271Gs is undelivered mail. As I have stated in the prior episodes, we do something here that most stations don't. Management informs us to drop our mail at 10 hours and leave it for the next day, which isn't unique to our office. This is happening more and more often across the country. But we file to get the overtime desired list paid for that missed opportunity, something they have done here locally to the tune of over 10 grand this year. Each time we file, we work with management to identify which routes were left and how long they equate to. If 1 hour of Route 34 was left, then 1 hour of time gets paid to the ODL. Well, it appears that Step B is applying the same logic to this concept. Since there is no aux assistance and no overtime on record, they are taking our documentation on which routes were left and how long and disregarding it, even though it's joint documentation. They don't care. They want to see that the numbers are correct. It is not our fault that management decided not to deliver that route, and this has huge implications on our working conditions. If we cannot substantiate a 271G on our overburdened routes because management found a workaround by simply not having it delivered over 8.5 hours, then how are we supposed to address those overburdened routes? This is asinine. Nobody should be forced to carry an overburdened route simply on the basis that management found a workaround. The reality of the situation is that both of these are workarounds on management's side. They are constantly looking away when carriers are not switching. That threat that they were talking about, where they thought that, if we continue to file grievances, they're going to start writing people up more often. They don't want to do that. When people are not doing their job, it works out in their favor. And this undelivered mail, it's getting out of hand. I have spoken with a couple people and have come up with a conclusion. If you are in the same boat as me, I suggest you do the same thing. And if you aren't already doing it, I should have been doing it to begin with anyway. As I've stated, the daily performance report is determined by data that management inputs in the morning. If you aren't familiar with the document, it essentially breaks down who is assigned to carry off of each route. Management determines their splits, then inputs them into their system. If the carrier fails to switch, yet management slotted them into the route as extra that day, the daily performance report will reflect that carrier's name, yet it will say that they carried an actual time of 0 hours that day for that route. I used to request the GPS data to determine if the carrier was on that route that day, but from now on, I'll be filing a grievance for that carrier not being corrected in the system. Every day, this will be happening, unless management wants to work with me in the morning to fix it. Their window to actually fix it is incredibly small. I think they got to do it by the next day. And they don't have time in the morning to work with me to make adjustments. They don't even have time to talk to carriers about how to do their job. A carrier might come up to management on any given morning. They tell them, hey, you need to go. I'm too busy. It's fucking insane the way they operate here. And I'm sure that's not everywhere. But this will be an ongoing grievance every single day. And when they come to do a route adjustment next time, I will have a grievance every day showing that prior data has been compromised. If they aren't allowing us to do 271Gs because they found a workaround, then I'll make sure that they'll have to answer for their lack of data integrity when the district manager comes around asking why they can't use prior data on a route adjustment. If you're having a similar problem, I suggest you do the same. If your Step B is anything like mine, they need to have the data correct for them to do anything. What would be perfect is if management decides to work with you every morning to get these things fixed, and they decide to actually have the data correct. Keep an email trail, email management occasionally so you can show Step B that you're trying, and show, future route adjustment people that they've ignored the issue for this long. Sometimes carriers will not switch on purpose because they know they will be added to if they do a future route adjustment, rather than just doing what it takes to work safely and precisely on their own route and make it 8 hours. That checklist I made and Jamie Gregory and other people helped develop a little bit further, it works wonders. If you are just sitting there trying to figure out how to make your route 8 hours, every one of these routes is over 8. If you do everything you're supposed to be doing every day. If anyone else has a better solution, please reach out to me on the Parcels of Knowledge Facebook. If you're not already following the podcast, I've been getting a pickup of recent followers. I appreciate that. go ahead and follow the podcast and follow the Facebook. It will help me out. On average, I have been posting an episode every 4 days. I might break this habit in the upcoming days since my election results will be here on November 4th, and I'll be quite busy until then. I'll be working on cases that are complex, so you might not hear from me in quite some time, maybe a whole week. I will, however, let you in on the fact that I am working on interviews for a historical piece that I think you guys will enjoy. Hopefully you learned something valuable today, and as always, have a good day.
Out to the Roseville Wrecking Ball. He is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God. We need Article 8 scholars right now. The Grievous Genius and the Roseville Wrecking Ball doing amazing work.
Brothers and sisters, this guy is good, man. He's fucking good.
And my boy Joshua, he killed it. Man, he's lockstep right now. He's killing it.